Ethan Morgan didn't remember falling asleep. One moment, he was lying in bed, scrolling mindlessly through videos with the TV buzzing quietly in the background. The next, everything was gone. When he opened his eyes, he wasn't in his room. He was lying on a thin mattress in the middle of a colorless, silent space. No ceiling, no floor he could feel. Just a pale, gray void stretching in every direction, like a hospital waiting room that had been drained of every living thing. He sat up, his breath fogged in front of him, even though he didn't feel cold. "What the hell?" he muttered. His voice fell flat, swallowed by the silence. No echo, no hum, just nothing. He stood up, bare feet touching a surface he couldn't quite feel. There were no walls, but he felt like he was inside something, as if the space had boundaries that didn't want to be found. Was it a dream? It had to be. He tried the old tricks, snapped his fingers, pinched his arm, shouted. Nothing. The pinch hurt, but the pain didn't wake him. Then he saw it, a shape, just barely, standing ahead of him in the haze. A silhouette, shifting like smoke. Human, maybe. Tall, thin, wrong. He blinked. It was closer. Ethan froze. His breath caught in his throat. He turned around. No change, no furniture, no exit. When he turned back, the figure was now halfway to him. Closer, closer, too close. Ethan backed up and suddenly fell, flat on his back. Except there was no floor to hit. It just swallowed him, like the ground had turned to liquid shadow. He screamed. He woke up gasping. Ethan jolted upright in bed, heart pounding. His sheets were damp with sweat, even though the fan was humming in the window. He was in his room, TV still glowing softly. Phone slipped off his chest and onto the floor. Just a dream. Just a freaking dream. He pressed a hand to his chest, still thumping like a war drum. He glanced at the clock on his nightstand. 3:11 a.m. Of course, always the worst stuff happens at 3 a.m. Ethan leaned back against the headboard, trying to shake the image. That thing. The space. The way it kept getting closer every time he looked away. He laughed nervously. Jesus, get a grip. He rubbed his eyes and turned over to try to fall asleep again. But the second his eyes closed, he opened them, and he was back. The gray void, the mattress, and this time, he wasn't alone. It didn't make sense. Ethan was sure he had just woken up. He remembered the sheets, the fan, the blinking clock. But now, same place, same void, same gray silence. Only now. Something had changed. The mattress was gone. There was no softness beneath him, just that faint suggestion of ground that wasn't really there. And the figure, it was back. Only this time, it wasn't blurry. It stood just 20 feet away, human-shaped, but not human. Its skin looked stretched too tightly over its frame, almost translucent. Its head tilted slightly as if curious. But its face, God. No eyes, just hollow sockets. And a smile that didn't belong on anything living. Ethan froze, afraid even to blink. The thing didn't move. But the air felt thicker now, like the space itself was compressing around him. He backed away slowly. "This is a dream," he whispered to himself. "It's just a dream." The thing tilted its head further. Ethan's heel hit something. A wall? There hadn't been any before. He turned. Now there was a wall behind him, gray, seamless, like it had grown out of the space. He turned back. The figure was closer. 10 feet. Ethan's breath hitched. He turned again. Now there were 4 walls around him. A room, a box, closing in, no door, no ceiling, just that smiling thing standing right in front of him now. He tried to scream. He woke up in his bed, drenched in sweat. The room looked the same, but he didn't trust it anymore. He sat up, heart pounding in his ears. 3:14 a.m. 2 minutes had passed. He hadn't moved. The fan was still blowing. The TV still whispered background noise. But the air felt wrong. The room was too quiet. He looked to the corner where the shadows were darkest. Nothing. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen. It buzzed again. A text, one word, stop. Ethan dropped the phone like it had burned him. He reached for the light, flicked it on. Bright, warm, normal. But he couldn't shake the feeling. Something had come back with him. His chest tightened. The silence in the room pressed against his ears like cotton. He walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on his face. When he looked up into the mirror, he was alone. But behind him, just barely, a shape, gone in a blink. Ethan didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, the sun was out, birds were chirping, and the nightmare seemed far away. But deep in his gut, he knew. It was waiting. And next time, it would get closer. If you're enjoying this story, give it a like. It helps create more creepy tales. Ethan didn't tell anyone about the dreams. What was there to say? Hey, I keep waking up in a void with a faceless thing smiling at me? Yeah, that would go over great. He tried to go about his day like normal. Coffee, emails, work calls. Everything looked the same, but it felt wrong. Like something had followed him back. He saw it in tiny moments. The hallway light flickering for half a second when he walked by. His dog, Toby, staring into the corner of the room and growling softly. The way mirrors didn't seem to reflect right unless he was looking directly into them. He started to sleep with the lights on. Didn't help. The dreams came anyway. And each time the figure was closer. He tried to fight it. Caffeine, loud TV, pacing. But sleep still found him. And when it did, he opened his eyes and saw a door. For the first time. Just a tall, rusted metal door standing in the middle of the gray. The figure was standing right in front of it. Closer than ever. It raised a hand, thin, bony, and pointed to the door. Then to Ethan. No words, but the message was clear. Enter. Ethan shook his head. Number no way. The figure tilted its head. Then the door opened. Inside was blackness so deep it seemed to pull the light in. Something inside moved, shifted, waited. Ethan turned to run, but hit a wall. Again. Now the room was shrinking, walls pressing in, no exit. He turned back. The door was right behind him. The figure stood beside it, smiling, still pointing. And then it whispered. First time it had ever made a sound. You brought this with you. The voice was dry, hollow, like wind over bone. Ethan screamed. He jolted upright in bed, soaked in sweat, gasping like he'd been drowning. But the scream hadn't stopped. It was still in the air, faint but real. And it wasn't his. It was outside. Someone screaming. He rushed to the window, pulled the curtain. Nothing. Empty street, dark trees, his quiet neighborhood in the early morning hours. Then, out of the corner of his eye, a figure at the edge of the yard, tall, thin, pale, gone when he blinked. He slammed the curtain shut. This wasn't just a dream anymore. At work, everything blurred. He kept zoning out, hearing fragments of whispers behind his back, felt eyes on him when no one was there. He bumped into a coworker in the break room. You okay, man? She asked. You look like you haven't slept in a week. He just nodded. Didn't trust his voice. Later in the men's room, he splashed water on his face, lifted his head to look into the mirror, and his reflection didn't move. It stood there, motionless, head slightly tilted, smiling. Ethan stumbled back, heart hammering. Blink. Gone. But something inside him snapped. He couldn't keep pretending. He had to find answers. That night, he didn't go to sleep. Instead, he searched. Lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, shared dream phenomena, shadow people, smiling man in gray rooms, Reddit threads, paranormal forums. Most were garbage, until one post stood out. User, Glassdoor67. Thread title, Gray Room, Smiling Thing, anyone else? Timestamp, 2017. Only one reply. Dreamt of it for weeks. Door appeared. I went through. I shouldn't have. I'm not alone now. You're not either. Below that, stop before the door opens again. Ethan stared at the screen, his mouth dry. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number, another text. Tonight. The door. Ethan didn't try to fight it. He cleaned his room, locked all the doors, left the lights on, and lay down, waiting. Sleep came, inevitable. He opened his eyes, and he was standing in front of the door. The figure no longer smiled. Its face, blank, as if it had given him the choice. And now it was done asking. Ethan felt his body move forward, like gravity was pulling him. He screamed, fought it, turned. But behind him, the gray room was gone. Just the void, just the door. And as he stepped through, he didn't wake up, not right away, not this time. When Ethan stepped through the door, he expected darkness, but instead he was home, his bedroom. Same blanket, same scuff mark on the wall. But the air, it was thicker, as if reality itself had weight. He stood up. Everything felt wrong. Not like a dream, but not like waking life either. The floor beneath his feet pulsed, like the house was breathing. The mirror across the room showed his reflection, lagging behind by a full second. What the? He stepped toward it, and suddenly, his reflection smiled. But Ethan wasn't smiling. He stumbled back and heard a sound, a snap, like bones breaking under strain. He turned to the bedroom door. It slowly opened on its own, but instead of the hallway, it was that gray corridor from the dream, now inside his house. No, I woke up. I woke up. But the more he tried to convince himself, the more obvious it became. He was trapped between worlds. He stepped into the corridor. Each footstep echoed, like walking through an endless tunnel. From somewhere in the darkness ahead, a cry. Software. Feminine. Ethan, please help me. His blood ran cold. He knew that voice. His mother. But she'd been gone for 7 years. He walked forward, and just like that, he was back in his living room, TV on. The screen showed him, sleeping, twitching, trapped. What the hell? He reached for the remote, but his hand passed through the screen. Then, a raspy breath behind him. He turned, and it was there, the entity, now in full detail. Translucent skin stretched thin over bone. Hollow sockets where eyes should be. A mouth like a wound stretched too wide. It stared at him. No eyes, but it saw him. You started this, the voice echoed inside his head. I was just dreaming. And you brought us with you. The floor rippled beneath him, walls blurred like wet paint. You broke the barrier, Ethan. Now you must choose. It raised a skeletal hand. 2 doors appeared, one wooden, warm, golden light glowing from behind. The other, rusted metal, foul, familiar. One leads to waking, the other to us. What if I don't choose? The entity smiled, now with teeth. Then, we choose for you. Ethan looked between the doors. One was a lie, but which one? He stepped toward the wooden door, and the floor vanished. He fell, screamed, and woke up. For real this time. Room lit, street noise outside, normal air, normal world. He was on the floor. Phone buzzed. 3:14 a.m. again. Everything was fine, except he remembered. Every sound, every breath of that thing, every choice. Next time, he knew he wouldn't wake so easily. Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the cracks in the ceiling like they might open up and swallow him whole. The clock read 3:12 a.m., the same time he had woken up before. Outside, the world was quiet. Inside, his heart raced like a drum. He couldn't tell what was worse, the dream or the fear of falling back into it. But he had made a decision. This time, he wouldn't just sleep. He would enter with his eyes wide open. It started with research, forums, Reddit threads, obscure lucid dreaming blogs. People had theories about how to gain control, how to stay aware. Ethan didn't believe in most of it. Until now. His notes were scattered across the kitchen table. Reality checks, grounding techniques, lucid anchors, the rope technique, the spin technique. He memorized them all like a soldier learning battlefield tactics. Because that's what this had become, a war. 3:14 a.m. Ethan lay back in bed, eyes closed, breath steady. He pictured the gray hallway, the entity, the two doors. Only this time, he whispered to himself, "I know this is a dream. I know this is a dream. I know." He felt the shift, the cold, the weightlessness. He opened his eyes. The hallway, gray, endless, familiar, but different. He was in control. He felt it, just slightly, like holding reins made of smoke. "This time," he muttered, "I'm ready." He walked forward. The corridor felt denser, more solid. The ground didn't ripple beneath him. It shook, subtly, like the entire realm was aware of him now. At the end, the two doors waited. One warm, wooden. One cold, rusted. He didn't approach either. Instead, he closed his eyes and spun, a lucid dreaming trick. The environment trembled, walls cracked, ceiling groaned. He opened his eyes, and he was in his childhood bedroom, the place where it all started. But it wasn't just a dream version. It was perfect, too perfect. His old baseball cap on the hook, his Lego spaceship on the desk, the familiar scratch on the floorboard he once caused during a tantrum, and in the corner, her, his mother, wearing the same sweater she died in. "Ethan," she whispered, arms outstretched. "You're safe now. Come here." He took one step forward, then stopped. Reality check. He looked at his hands. 6 fingers. Wrong. This wasn't her. "You're not my mom," he said coldly. Her smile twitched. It melted. Eyes turned black. Skin peeled back like wax. The thing beneath stepped forward, taller than before, mouth unhinging. "You can't hide forever, Ethan." "I'm not hiding," he whispered. "I'm hunting." And he ran straight at it. The moment they collided, everything shattered. Glass, space, time, sensation. He spun through memories, through nightmares, through broken versions of reality. Corridors filled with blood, static humming TVs, whispers in dead languages. He wasn't dreaming anymore. He was inside it, inside the source. And then, a room. Circular, concrete, cold. The entity stood before him, still morphing. "You want answers?" It hissed. "Then ask." Ethan's voice shook, but he didn't look away. "Why me?" The creature tilted its head. "You opened the door. You kept running, waking, fearing, feeding us. You believed. And if I stop?" It smiled, slowly. If this story made your heart race, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button to support new chilling tales, and tap the bell. That way, you won't miss the next dose of horror. In the comments, let us know how much you enjoyed the story and which themes scare you the most. Who knows? Maybe your idea will become the next nightmare.